Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
In this week's episode of the Kindness Project, we talk about hats, football, and we have part one of our interview with Don Diffang from Do Me a Favour Buddy.
Welcome one and all to another episode of the Kindness Project. I'm joined by two blokes. I forgot what I was going to say. Russ said he was hot this morning.
Hot, right. Russ is hot. Yeah, Russ.
Hot-headed. I was wearing a hat in bed last night.
There's a mistake. We all know Russ shouldn't wear hats.
Russ, you know what you like with your hot head. You know you should wear a hat in bed. I feel like a Dr. Seuss poem. Russ has got an incredibly hot head. Russ should avoid wearing hats in bed.
Yeah,
I don't like green eggs. Russ don't like green eggs in hand.
Oh, God.
You don't like them hot-head, I am.
To be honest, in other hat-related news, I was just minding my own business, playing my console, playing Ratchet and Clank and Rift Apart last night. And then I felt somebody touch my head, and then realised that for about half an hour without realising it, I've been wearing a bowler hat.
Nice.
It's a good look.
What was you doing with a bowler hat on?
I always walk around the house with a bowler hat.
Soft spot on his head.
No. So Sophie, who is playing Mr. Banks in Mary Poppins for a play, we went out and got the genius of Facebook Marketplace, where you can turn around and go, has anybody got a bowler hat by any chance locally? And somebody has, means that we got a bowler hat, and it got plonked on my head, and yeah, so that was it.
How much was the hat?
Related news?
I like a beanie, me.
Beanie.
Not good for this weather, though.
I'm related to hat news.
Oh, go on.
English football teams taking over Europe.
Well, we didn't talk about that.
I was surprised you hadn't mentioned it.
Even though we clearly we knew about it when we last time we recorded the podcast, and this is going to be old news now by the time it comes out, isn't it? But worth a mention. West Ham are massive everywhere they go. West Ham are massive everywhere they go.
I've seen some of the memes on the back.
Oh. I thought, even though Russ is a Tottenham fan, I thought you might join in the London passion.
I've seen all the Tottenham.
Let's try again, Russ. West Ham are massive everywhere they go. Everywhere they
go.
There we go. Job done. But yeah, it was an amazing result for West Ham.
And then Man City beat Inter last night.
They did, yeah. I mean, I'm more interested in the West Ham result, to be honest. And did you see doing the trebles quite impressive and all that, but when you've got unlimited money, it's a bit easier, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
But yeah, no, because we are from that part of the world, and we used to walk down to Upton Park.
Yeah,
and
we did.
Go and see the games and all that sort of stuff. There is just amazing to see all those people out the other night celebrating the first big cup win since I was 3, Raz.
Yeah. And
you were a baby. Now, can you imagine Raz as a baby?
Yeah.
How are you imagining Raz as a baby?
I think I've seen pictures of Russ as a baby.
Describe them for our audience.
Yeah.
A baby?
Well, just a normal baby?
Yeah.
Well, he turned out like that?
Yeah.
I was a little fat kid. Now I'm a big fat kid.
Well, slimming. Getting leaner, Russ. getting into shape. I mean, like sort of.
I will say something about the football. The West Ham songs have gotten a lot less complicated.
What do you mean?
We went from "I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles" to "West Ham, I'm massive." Like,
I mean, the good. I mean, look, Bubbles is an absolute banger. Let's be honest. Bubbles is a classic.
The best ones, especially the 80s ones.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about them on the podcast on kindness, though, Raz, are we? Clearly.
Oh no,
but go on.
I watch a lot on YouTube of the American reacting to English football chants. And
I've never seen that.
The creativity of some of the English football chants are just fantastic.
Yeah.
What? Sorry,
and the Americans are all aghast about it.
Yeah, they're just like, we wouldn't get away with it here, but the creativity is just fantastic.
Sorry, what's this? I mean, I know everything's on YouTube. I know that.
It's a trend. It is a trend.
But where Americans listening to English football chants, is that a thing?
So they watch videos people have posted of football chants and then share their reaction.
What's your favourite football chant, Raz? Clean one.
I ain't got many clean ones. I like
that's football chants for you.
I like the Northern Beep one.
Yeah,
you'll know what that is, but
I not football related, sort of football related, American football related. Have you seen the videos where they put mics in the footballers' helmet, the American footballers' helmets, and just like?
No, what did you search for that one?
I don't know. It just came up on my feeds.
I'll have to have a look for them.
Yeah, I mean,
I started a rabbit hole because I saw one and it was a reporter and he had a mic on.
They're gonna start airing the reactions from VAR, aren't they? That's gonna be interesting.
Well, I mean, I think they do in rugby, don't they? So in rugby,
they do in rugby, and they do in motorsports.
Yeah. So getting that direct from the reaction, I think
it's going to be interesting how they react to the conversation they're having.
100%.
No, but I found them because I started on this rabbit hole of it was this video of an American football reporter, and he was on the sides and he got something in his ear, and then he just turned to the other reporters and was like, "I've got to go." He was covering his mic, but you could still hear it. And they were like, "What's going on?" So my wife's just gone into labour, and he just started.
What, an American football player?
No, a reporter for American football. He was standing on pitch sides.
My wife's just gone into labour.
And all of the other reporters were like, "Go, go, good on you, mate."
Right. Question of the podcast. I mean,
I've seen it a couple of times.
When
every time
as you went into labour with Sophie, Charlotte and I were sitting on the sofa, so that's super boring. And when Gazzy went into labour with Charlotte, I think we were in bed. So
yeah, you were.
That's a bit boring, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But what question of the podcast? I'm trying to bring this back. I'm failing completely, aren't I? Question of the podcast, because Raz don't put them out anymore. Question of the podcast. What's the funniest story you've heard about someone? This is niche. This is so niche. What's the funniest story you've heard about where somebody was when their partner went into labour? Why are you shaking your head? That's a completely legitimate question.
Some people are going to just be like, they were in a Macca's and then...
They were in a Macca's? What, a Mackie Days?
Yeah,
I probably got halfway through that question and fell asleep.
Right, sorry. Next question of the podcast. I'm going for the question of the podcast until one sticks. What do you call McDonald's? I call it Mackie D's. Charlotte calls it. I don't even eat McDonald's.
I don't eat
Max. See what I mean? Max, Macca's,
or Mackey's, either way.
Mackie D's. I'll call it. What do you call McDonald's? Is that a better question of the podcast?
Yeah.
That's Must be hurting your feelings.
It's okay. It's
I
okay.
mean,
It's just...
he loves that you're joking a week every week. He forces himself to laugh.
Sorry, the pregnancy question was like a 4-week question, and you sit there for
It's
3
a
hours.
9-month question. That's the idea. It was meant to last 9 months until just. I was actually answering a question on a podcast where my wife went. Oh right. Look,
It's never actually happened to someone. They've been being interviewed, and then all of a sudden they've gone, "I've got to go. I've got to go."
look, I mean, like the fact that there's billions of things happening every single day means that the odds are that's happening at least once. Rice, you've told me on my show notes to plug the book, so I want to do that. Actually, do you want to plug the book?
There's a book, the Kindness Project book. The old man spent hours writing it. He'd just sit in his little chair with his little laptop.
My little chair with my little laptop. You're meant to be selling it. Sitting in my little chair with my little laptop.
I'm adding comedic value to the narrative of you writing this book. Other than the comedic value that comes intrinsically with this podcast.
Sound like an hobbit writing a book, doesn't it?
Yeah, his little knees up with this little.
Right, you two are picking on me.
This little computer.
This has become a growing trend in recent podcasts that
There's
you
little
two
headphones that don't go in his ears.
You used to be Quincy James, now you're Bob Cratchit.
No, I'm Frodo.
Yeah.
Frodo. Hobbit like.
Oh, you've
Frodo.
got big enough ears.
Don't worry, Russ. This is all being remembered, my friend. All being remembered.
Unfortunately, Russ, he doesn't have
I know what your memory is like, so I very much doubt it.
Well, when you find yourself face first in front of a crocodile in the Amazon when we go, I'll just go. Remember that time you called me big ears and had to go at my book?
I wasn't having a go at your book. I was just adding comedic value.
Oh, right, okay, fair enough.
Just adding my vision of it was like watching like a man obsessed. No, I'm joking.
No, it's called writing a book. People do it all the time.
Yeah, I know. I've been there.
Well, we need to get you published, don't we? That's what we need to do.
That's the aim. And he put a lot of work in, and it's a good book. I've heard a lot of people say good things about it, and I've seen them do a lot of work to promote it. Not personally.
Read it, Charlotte?
Huh?
Have you not read it?
No, not yet. I was going to pick up a copy when I came back. I just haven't got around to it yet, and I was going to pay down a tenner. We had a discussion about it in the car.
It's going to pay good money for the book, though, Raz. That's good, isn't it? Because all of the money, I might as well promote myself. Oh, do you want to give it a go, Raz? Promoting the book?
Yeah. So, let me tell you what I think on the book. It mentions me a lot, which I like. I've read the first book.
Sorry, you're meant to be selling it.
It mentions me a lot, which I like. I'm in the prologue that Charlotte wrote. And then I'm in the first few pages.
By this book, it mentions me a lot.
So,
what are you doing?
I quite like that. So if you want to know about me and you want to read about me in the first few pages, please find a book.
Yes.
Sorry, that was it. Not the really high quality content of the book.
Okay, about the book.
Read a bit about me.
Self-promotion.
How I recommend reading the book with a highlighter in hand, as I recommend reading all books because it's good practice.
So it's a very good book.
You have actually read it, right? Haven't you?
Yeah, and it highlights some of the amazing people we've interviewed over the course of the podcast.
I think the dog just turned the telly on.
I mean, to be honest, that, and again, just to showcase some of the interviews we've got coming up, we're doing quite a lot of interviews at the minute. I think we're doing one a week.
Oh.
I mean, Charlotte Hill from the Phoenix Project.
Yes.
Amazing interview. the five sisters we interviewed last week, brilliant interview. Mike Brace is going to be amazing. I mean, I know Mike. He's just his life has been absolutely brilliant.
Coming up, we've got a good mix of old and new. So guests that we've had on before updating us on what they're doing and
and you know what? It's not something I mentioned in the book, available on Amazon now. But I have been inspired, been excited, been just having the opportunity to listen and talk to people sharing amazing stories over the years. And that's not stopping at the minute. We have spoke that we will have to stop the Kindness Project at some point. However, we are going to be ending on a relative high because of the amazing guests we're getting at the minute.
I mean, she's had a good run.
We've had an amazing run, I think.
Yeah.
You know, we've had an absolutely amazing run. And that's down to the star of the Kindness Project book, Russell Gaines.
Hey, up in the trouble. Russell is massive.
Russell is massive everywhere you go. Russell is massive everywhere you go. I mean, I don't know if that's a compliment or not, to be honest. But yeah, anyway. On that note, let's move on to. Are you ready for? This is your bit.
Kindness news.
You're reading it out now.
I thought I was already reading it out as you were handing it over to me. Righto. Hello, everybody. How are we doing today? As the shoppers left in tears after 11-year-old boy's incredible acts of kindness. Reese Taylor bought his mum an iced coffee, paid for someone else's shopping, saying he wanted to help the world, and bought a sausage roll for a homeless guy. His kind gestures did not go unnoticed. As the shoppers have been left in tears by an 11-year-old boy's incredible act of kindness that they said will never be forgotten. Reese Taylor wanted to buy new football boots after saving up his money, but he eventually decided to buy a t-shirt and had some cash left over. The boy's mum said Reese was in a loving mood as he bought her an iced coffee from his local Asda store in Wirral on May 31st. But Reese went the extra mile and paid for someone else's shopping as well. He said he wanted to help the world, the Liverpool Echo reports. Casey said he thought he was going to get in trouble, so he told the man he was struggling to pay for his shopping. He didn't want to tell me at first in case I said he was giving money away, but when I found out, I told him it was such a lovely thing to do. He bought a sausage roll for a homeless guy as well and came home with a surprise for me. He'd printed off a picture of me and him. I tried to teach him that the world is materialistic, but people won't remember the things you buy, they remember how you make them feel. I said it doesn't have to be money, the only thing we have to give is our time. Speaking to people, asking how they are, and he's gone and done something himself. I teach him that happiness is a byproduct of living, and to be kind and loving, but not to be kind to look good. Reese's amazing gesture had not gone unnoticed, as a post on Facebook soon racked up hundreds of comments and likes after one shopper overheard what had happened. Katie said, "My sister-in-law asked me if it was Reese. I was aware it had come out as Reese told me, but was buzzing. He knows that what you put into the world comes back tenfold, and it was National Smile Day yesterday as well." The anonymous poster on Crime Watch World Facebook post praised Reese's action as they wrote, "He was only buying one item, but he insisted on paying for the gentleman shopping who was behind him in the queue. When the man asked the lad why, the lad replied, 'I want to help the world.'"
I absolutely love that. Oh, sorry. Is that the end of the story or is there more?
I believe Reese Taylor deserves credit and our utmost respect and admiration. He is one of a kind, and I will never forget his kindness. Life is so tough at the moment, but young people like Reese make the world a better place.
I love that. What do you think, Raz?
Yeah, I agree.
And what I love about it is that element of life is for doing a bit of good, living, being in a position where if you can help, you do, and supporting people. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think like those who can should help people if they can. Like, you know, I'm not saying go and.
I mean, look. I mean, the reality is, if you've got spare help in some way, And I think trying to find ways that resonate with you to do that.
Yeah.
But that element of, we know the evidence says that happiness does come from helping others in a bunch of different ways. So we should try and find ways, given the fact that we've got other stuff going on in our lives and we need to get balance right, to try and help others. It's really, really important to do, I think. And well done, Reece, for doing an amazing job.
Right.
Let's move on to our interview. We've got one of my all-time ever returning guests this week. It's Mr. Don Diffang. Was that too many Dons? It was too many Dons, wasn't it, Russ?
No. Too many dons.
Don is an amazing individual, a lovely human being.
Yep.
And has been a supporter and, friend of the Kindness Project for years now, Russ. I mean, it's like...
Yeah, we had him in year one, we got Don on, and he's been on twice since, so...
Yeah, and he's interviewed us for our... 100 episodes was ages ago, but he came on and interviewed us for our 100th episode. Thank you, Don, and here's your updated interview. Don, thank you so much for joining us again on the Kindness Project, and great to have you back. How you been?
I've been good. Pretty busy at the day job these days, but also busy with Do Me a Favour Buddy. So life is good. No complaint.
Good stuff. Well, I mean, if they don't know, they're clearly not super fans of the Kindness Project, because you're one of our favourite guests of all time. But for our new listeners in particular, because the podcast has grown, I think, since we first interviewed you, tell us a little bit about you, what you do, and who you are.
So I'm basically a guy from humble beginnings in South London, and I ended up working within the field of clinical research. So I'm a biopharmacist and a medicinal chemist, and thankfully now I'm working with pediatric medicine. So we're developing new medications for childhood diseases like psoriasis and things like that. But my life changed definitely actually when I was just getting into the industry, where I was going to become homeless, and I had a really, really crazy day job, which meant I didn't have so much time to look for a new flat or apartment, and a stranger helped me secure a place to live, and basically without even knowing me before, and we never even saw each other during the whole process. He was just going out and sending me videos and photos and things like that, and sending me emails and everything like that. And I think the time and effort that this guy put into helping me, somebody he'd never met before, it changed my life, because his ethos of living life purposefully and mindfully, looking for opportunities to be kind to others. I found it a curiosity from a scientific perspective, but also just impactful, that all the benefits of that. And it just opened a door that I've never been able to close since. So
wait a minute, how long ago was that?
Oh, do you know what? It was about, it must be about 20 odd years ago. It was a very long time ago. And since then, it's it's been that situation where you just can't go back, and it's just beyond to, forming a collective of people, together to form Do Me a Favour Buddy, and just doing different projects, and also, meeting people like you, and just seeing that there's a whole massive community of people out there that are just, we believe in kindness as a force for good,
Yeah, 100%. And you know what's interesting? So I spoke for my day job, I spoke at an event Tuesday. So we've done this, and I was a bit worried about it, to be honest. Because we're doing in our part of East London, in London, the good bit, the east bit. I mean, South's all right.
Here we go again.
I mean, it's okay, but everybody knows that East London's the best bit. But in our part of East London, we are running a business expo.
Yeah.
So I run a community of business people. We're running a business expo, and I said to Cassie, I'm going to call it Havering Means Business, which is a thing, business for good. And we had this event. It wasn't our event. It was a business event at where our offices are. I think it was about, I don't know, 70 people in the room. And we stood up, and you've read the book, so you'll know the story.
Yeah.
I told the plate story
Okay.
from the book
Yeah.
about my mum and stuff like that. And I said to Cassie before, I'm gonna tell this story. And she went, actually, Chris, it's quite a sort of, is it going to be the right story for the right audience? And I thought about it, and I sort of went both ways on it.
Mhm.
But in the end, I thought, look, they're all human. Everybody's got a mum. Everybody understands grief to a certain extent, and where our values come from. And the reason I told that story at a business event is because we're framing the expo around businesses who do good in the world.
Mhm.
So do well, do good. And the reaction we got from it was really interesting because it really hit a nerve with a lot of people. The feedback we've had on it is really interesting.
Yeah.
And actually, it's that spark, isn't it?
It is.
You just need somebody to put their hand up and go, look, we can all live lives in a Western capitalist society, and that doesn't stop us living a life that has got purpose and we're doing a bit of good.
Yeah.
So I left that feeling really optimistic that most people are like us. But I think my takeaway might be, it's scary to put your hand up and talk about kindness because it's not considered serious. What do you think?
Can we backtrack just a minute?
Yeah.
What did you say you named it?
Havering Means Business. What are we calling it, Russ?
Russ, you're on mute.
Havering, I know. Havering Means Business.
We're not calling it Russ, you're on mute. That would be a really weird name for a business expo.
Havering Means Business
Mhm.
for good
Mhm.
2023.
Havering Means Business for good 2023. Why? What are you thinking?
So the last three letters are BFG.
You're right.
HMBFG.
Yeah.
Oh, Russ, we've got to use the B. No, we're not allowed, are we? We can't use the BFG in our marketing. Roald Dahl's family won't be happy. But
Yeah, true.
yeah, no, we
The big
didn't
friendly
notice
giant.
Exactly.
that. Yeah, we didn't notice that.
Big friendly
Yeah, so
giant.
what do you think about that concept about? And I don't know whether this is literally, I'm just thinking about this now. What do you think about that concept of most people are kind, but there's still a stigma attached to kindness? Feels a bit ephemeral to talk about. What do you think of that?
No, you're right. You're right. I do see that. I mean, because also like people don't actually realize that actually kindness can be used as a verb, it can be a mode of action.
Yeah.
And actually kindness has got a very valuable place within business. It's very good to have a network of people around you that you can do favors for, or they can call in favors from you, because that's how you get things done. And I found that within my own field that, it's definitely the carrot that makes people work better rather than the
100%.
stick, so
100%.
You're right. I think it's that kind of holy grail that we're all striving for, which is just the PR aspect of kindness, of like switching around, that people can really feel that this is something that I can tap into and use on a daily basis, rather than like, oh, isn't it that like, or they're like mistaking kindness for being nice, because they're not the same thing.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And what I'm interested in is so with both your hats, you've got the kindness element, but also the scientific connection.
Yeah.
Let me understand a bit about what you know.
Yeah, sure.
About how the two fit together.
No, definitely. I mean, it's interesting because now, like, we're pivoting the platform from, originally it was like matching people together to do acts of kindness. And then so we've actually shut that down for the time being. And then like I had the idea that like, you know, having kind of concentric circles and kindness starting from within, and then you doing acts of kindness for yourself, and then that leading to you then to do acts of kindness within the community, and then finally like doing acts of kindness for the world, as in terms of like, you know, volunteering and things like that. So I was thinking like, where can I start with this? Because I'm not a psychologist, I haven't studied sociology apart from the things that I've read. And I got in touch with a really cool behavioral scientist, and she's actually joined the team now. So what we're actually doing is finding evidence-based acts of kindness that you can do for yourself that will improve your well-being. And that's what we're going to be launching as like the new face of Do Me a Favor Buddy. And you will have that matching people together to do acts of kindness, and eventually also working with nonprofits and cause-related organizations. But essentially, so what she's explained to me is that, you know, there's kind of like 4 aspects that kindness can work on. The psychological, so of course, you know, it affects the hormone levels that you have within your body, you know, so oxytocin and endorphins, and, you know, releases, you know, feelings of stress and anxiety. And then that moves on to like, you know, number 2, the physical benefits, because anything that decreases stress, you lower your blood pressure, you've got a stronger immune system, you feel healthier, you know. And then like you've got the social benefits, you can form positive relationships and strengthen the ones that you already have. You know, it builds trust. You know, it acts as a very good glue between, you know, your local connections, people around you. And of course, the final one is the ripple effect. You know, each single drop builds an ocean of kindness, which makes for a better society. So that's how, and all of this stuff, you know, for those that are listening or watching, check it out. The evidence is there. The scientific
100%.
is there. So,
and it's really interesting, isn't it? Because that ripple effect. I mean that firstly, you know, I am an advocate of being kind to yourself as the starting point to be having the energy and the power to be. While you were talking, Don, I was thinking about a book that I read actually while Charlotte and I were away travelling last year. Called Thrive by a guy called Martin Siegelman, who's the founder of positive psychology, and definitely worth a read. Definitely worth reading, and I'm sure your colleague would probably know quite a lot about it, because that element of positive psychology around the importance of kindness and, you know, just reducing stress in our bodies, helping us sort of live longer, healthier lives is super important. Charlotte, have you got a question?
Yes. So tell us a bit about the venture competition.
Oh yeah, so I mean
the venture competition.
So Venture, what they are, they're an organization that gives like grants, and they kind of work in 2 ways. So you either have like a business that is like a non-profit organization or a startup, and now they're like linking startups to like sustainable goals as well. So it's part of a very rigorous process where they're like looking into, you know, your business plan and your thoughts, and they're really trying to sort of foster businesses that will give, you know, great impact, and especially social impact on the world. So we were lucky enough to actually put our names forth, you know, so we made it through the first round, you know. So it's just been exciting to kind of change as we're going from, you know, something that could be seen by people as like a non-profit organization to something that would be more akin to like a B Corp, you know, but definitely having kindness at its core, you know, and to be able to introduce this concept to, you know, kind of like a sort of socially aware Dragon's Den, you know? You know, it also holds a mirror up to us, you know, to say, okay, you know, especially the comments that they've given us back so far have been like really insightful, you know, and you're really like, oh wow, you know, it's
a learning process, I'd imagine, as well, isn't it?
Definitely. So so that's one of the initiatives that we've been involved in, and also
And
yeah.
let's do me a favour, buddy. Pivot to the model. Who's the client? Who are you looking to?
Also, it's three main people. So you have the individual, so you'll have these acts of kindness that you can do for yourself and really track the progress of like your well-being. And then the next pillar will be corporate responsibility. So we'll be able to kind of matchmake between non-profits and also individuals, in terms of doing volunteering. And we want to do like volunteering that isn't just kind of like, oh, I'm turning up and picking up litter in the local neighborhood, which has value in itself. But being able to tell that story and let people see the impact of that. So, on the platform, people will be able to share their stories. Well, they'll be able to boost each other up. They'll be, and they'll have unlock features and things like that, have that kind of like gamification part of it. And then the last pillar is the non-profits. So being able to, because their major problem is attrition and people just not turning up. Then they're losing more and more volunteers each year. And I think sadly, it's also an effect of COVID, the pandemic, that we had a huge increase of people like wanting to give back and volunteer. And then afterwards, it's just kind of like dropped off as
life gets back to normal and people.
Yeah. So we'll be able to kind of dip into our pool of people, really expose them to these different causes,
Interesting.
Yeah, getting exposure and then just, give them better clientele that are willing to volunteer and make the world a better place.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Okay, that sounds good. And when do you find out about the funding? When do they tell you?
I think fairly soon actually. So fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these things are always unknown, but you're on the right path.
Yeah.
And even the feedback is useful, isn't it?
Definitely. And I think the good thing as well is that, we are building the platform. We don't actually need funding to build the platform at the moment because we've got everything in house. So, I mean, we've even got like an AI guy that's, helping us with algorithms and everything. So that in itself is exciting. Yeah.
Well, you know what, AI, I mean, Riles and I are a bit obsessed with AI at the minute.
Oh, really?
Because we're looking at ways in how to use it in our respective businesses and what we do. But also, I mean, it's just so I've been playing with it literally over the last probably week or so. But this morning, I said, can you summarise the Kindness Project by Chris Daines? Just give me 10 bullet points on sort of on what it's about. And it went, yep, done. There's your summary of that actual book. And that, please buy the book if you're listening, by the way. Don't summarise it on AI. There is some funny stories in there, hopefully, that you'll enjoy that are not really included in the summary. But I think, and we've been using it, and what I've found is that by refining it, it just gets better and better and better and better.
Yeah.
So I using those tools as potential tools for good and building stuff that helps people engage with kindness, I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
I agree. Definitely. Yeah. I think, as you said, the right word, that it's a tool. It's it's not a crutch. It's not going to replace humans. But if you use it as a tool, then it can improve, hopefully, the human experience. And
I tell you what I'm thinking, because I mean, there's loads of conversations about AI at the minute and sort of how it's going to change. My hope, my desire, is that it does all the boring stuff and lets us get back to having really human relationships. Empathy, like understanding, like all of the boring stuff. If we can systemize and automate all of the stuff that we need done, but we don't actually enjoy it. Some people do, I don't. But then we can think about what, like, that element of empathy, and gives us more time to do the stuff we love. That hopefully is good to other people. So that's really good. Charlotte, have you got another question?
Oh, hello, me again. So What's your top 3 tips to include kindness in our lives a bit more?
Oh, that's good. I think definitely Chris touched on one, which is empathy. And it's very good to practice mindfulness along with that. So being able to see yourself, seeing other people, their experience, imagine, seeing their lives, walking, a day in their shoes, that kind of thing. I think removes the barriers that we have between, us as people. Because I know it's very easy for us to be like very tribal, and identity can be very good, to find other people that are the same. But if you expand outwards, we are all the same. We are going through the human experience. So definitely empathy. Then the other thing is the obvious one. Please do small acts of kindness each day. Get it into a habit, because you will just really see your life change massively. Even if you're just doing an act of kindness, even if it's just smiling or just talking to a stranger or just doing something for yourself, as you were saying, Chris, just doing something daily for yourself. It's just wonderful. It really is wonderful, because then you'll slowly shift from being carried along by life by being in the driving seat. And within that, you get autonomy and you really feel more hopeful about the future. And, and you just really see that everything around you is quite transient, really, when you think of it. So any problems that you're going through, they will pass. You will get through it, And then I think
Did you hear that, Charlotte?
Oh no!
See,
no! You've set him off.
Don's on my train. These two shall pass train. These two shall pass train. I like that. But I also, I think I'm still a bit of a work in progress in this one.
But that's what life is, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is.
Right?
It is. It is. I was having a conversation at work yesterday, talking about, and this is the interesting thing about empathy, isn't it? Because I'm at a stage of my life, mid-40s, where I realised how little I know. So I think now, and I think you can go down one of two roads, where you become more entrenched, or you become more open. But certainly for me, the more people I speak to, the more experience I realise that actually, I think our desires are all the same. What we want for our lives is very similar, as you say. We're all human, but just the way we see the world is different. And understanding that is really important in terms of getting that perspective and hopefully learning something new. But yeah, no, I absolutely love that. Right. Let's move on to our interview. We've got one of my all-time ever returning guests this week. It's Mr. Don Diffang. Was that too many Dons? It was too many Dons, wasn't it, Russ?
No. Too many Dons.
Don is an amazing individual, a lovely human being.
Yep.
And has been a supporter and, friend of the Kindness Project for years now, Russ. It's like...
Yeah, we had him in year 1, we got Don on. And he's been on twice since, so...
Yeah, and he's interviewed us for our... 100 episodes was ages ago, but he came on and interviewed us for our 100th episode. So thank you, Don, and here's your updated interview. Tis the end.
Tis the end.
Tis the end of another podcast, but the end is never truly the end.
Because I've got an awful joke to tell.
Because it's joke of the... I'm just going really slowly so Charlotte can find it.
No, I've got it.
Oh, wait.
Last couple of weeks have been poor, so hopefully it's been an improvement.
Russell is massive.
Not likely, Russ. Not likely. Did you hear about the mathematician who's afraid of negative numbers? Oh.
No, I haven't heard of the mathematician who is afraid of negative numbers. Tell me about the mathematician who's afraid of negative numbers.
Well, he'll stop at nothing to avoid them.
That's quite good. I like that.
It's layered. It's a maths joke.
It's layered. And your best ones are layered. No comment. On that, because I don't want to be negative. See what I did there? See what I did there?
God.
Good for you.
I'm sorry. Sorry. That joke gets a laugh. My follow up on the fly. Honestly. Right. On that note, my friends, have a lovely week. Be kind to each other and to others. And we'll see you next podcast.
Bye.
Bye.